All right. A lot of y'all talk in circles. Whether you want to tell me I am or not doesn't detract from the fact that I'm the one in the situation and the one that needs to be heard. Jen Beebe, she wanted to talk 400 miles an hour. Oh my fucking God. Like she just called after 5 months of nothing. And she wants to say she can't do anything in court. I'm like, really? I'm going to subpoena you. I mean, obviously, I've been trying to subpoena all of these goddamn people since day one. No matter what, there's all these excuses why they fucking can't. It's not in their job description. Well, you know what else isn't in their job description? Ignoring crimes against disabled. Now, at the very end of that call, now mind you, my internet connection here is shit, and I'm trying to record all of this. But it's not my choice in how well the internet works. So finally, at the end of it, she's like, well, if you feel the police did you something wrong, then we can get you in contact with Adult Protective Services. Holy fuck. See, that's the thing, is that without a caseworker who is going to do something, it doesn't fucking matter. That's what I've been saying this whole time. I need a caseworker who is going to fucking do something. Instead of telling me to do the same thing over and over again that works for you guys. If you have family who cares, or you don't have that mentally ill tag held over your head, you have rights that I don't. That's why we have people like Jen Beebe. That's why we have these hundreds of programs across the United States that are supposed to help. And if you've listened to the phone calls between me and these places, one thing you've realized is that none of these places actually do that. None of them do that. Jen Beebe, she wanted to cut me off when I talk about the fucked up shit that she did because she made a lot of mistakes. And she says, well, you need to let me talk. Lady, I told you 8 times in like 30 seconds that I couldn't hear what you were saying. You're talking 400 miles an hour. That's another common tactic that these people use. When they know that they did something wrong, they will mumble 400 miles an hour, or they play stupid when it comes to their fellow workers. Oh, well, I don't know. You need an officer to investigate that somebody broke your car? No, I'm trying to report that an officer broke my car. That was in Chesapeake, Virginia in October of 2016, by the way. For having a panic attack, being severely dehydrated, and having a busted vehicle stuck in the road, I got my vehicle busted further. I also got it towed. I got dropped off in Chesapeake, Virginia with absolutely nothing from the hospital. I got accused of being arrested, which I wasn't. I got accused of threatening a little girl and her family, which I didn't. First of all, she wasn't a little girl. Second of all, I didn't threaten her family. Third of all, because you want to assume the worst in me doesn't mean that fuck you. If that's not an okay way to treat police, and it's not an okay to treat black people, it's not okay to treat me that way either. And this is the shit that I got to deal with. All of these caseworkers who were supposed to help me before Natalie died. All of them hiding behind crooked laws and bad policies that are not meant to protect the client, but to protect the institution. From the jails to Clearview to Washington State, Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, Virginia. All of these people are trying to protect their institutions, their money, and their jobs. That's what all this affirmative crap is about. It doesn't protect the victim. It protects the money. In Virginia, it's pretty fucking obvious that Natalie and Alicia were not stalked. That they were not afraid of me, and they had no reason to be. It's pretty obvious that I was invited. It's pretty obvious that Natalie did try to kill herself only hours after making that phone call. It is pretty obvious that she wasn't going to get on that fucking plane unless I promised to go to Virginia. And she even typed to me on multiple occasions, not just on the telephone, but typed those things to me. I can't get Jeff Ritter to do his job without a subpoena. Can't get Jen Beebe to do her job without a subpoena. Can't even subpoena Tamara. Can't subpoena Cody Selhorst. He got away with it scot-free. Jared Hahn, God, he should be in prison. And then there's the officers who have come on since then. Yes, they're new officers who are new to the situation, but they work for the same fucking sheriff. The same sheriff who manipulated Jen Beebe. Jen Beebe isn't going to stand up to these people. Oh, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. You know what? You say you're not a lawyer one more fucking time. Seriously. I want to hear you say you're not a lawyer. One more time. Thank you. I want to hear you say it again. Thank you. Good. This is totally a conversation. Listening to you tell me you're not a lawyer. I don't give a fuck if you're a lawyer. You're a fucking witness. And the fact that this witness, like at least 15 others on this very YouTube channel, said that was a long time ago. That's right. And I was trying to get something done when it fucking happened. You were busy getting fucked up on drugs, or in Jen Beebe's case, getting drunk on power. She never went to school for this. She was given her position because of life experience, and that life experience was that she was a foster kid. But she acts like a foster kid too. She acts like she got PTSD from that shit. Anytime you try to tell her what she did wrong, you're not allowed to finish. You are now calling her a bad person. No, I'm saying you fucked up, you fucking moron. Everybody fucks up. The difference between you and I is that you're a fucking coward. And, of course, they called her. So because they called her, and she told me some things that they had told her, well, yeah. I told y'all I was cruising up and down Chapel, Nebraska, screeching my tires, honking my horn. Because the police, when I called 911, although the state of Nebraska, it's against the law for an officer not to write a written report, Officer Jordan Anderson did not. And that, by the admission on this very YouTube channel from Sheriff Scott DaCosta. This was a fucked up situation before Natalie died. At least 6. That's right, Casey. You're talking too fast. You're talking too fast. You're talking too fast. And did it seem like she was talking faster and mumbling more when I did that? I mean, all of this shit that has been done that's against the law, nobody is out there writing about it. Nobody's out there peacefully protesting about it. And you're right, she didn't stop. She just kept on talking and says that I keep talking over her. Absolutely, I do. I was there for the situation. I was there for the manipulation. I was there for the things the police did before she was there. I was there for the things the police did after she was there. And she did have me committed. The fact is, if they'd have had their body cameras on at that point in time, I would have proof of that. But they kept on turning off their body cameras. Just like the officers in Longmont, the ones in Boulder, the ones in Arapahoe County, the ones in Scotts Bluff, the ones in Wyoming didn't even have body cameras. And what did I do? I recorded over 30 situations with the police on this very YouTube channel. Over 30 situations with the police. There's also recordings on it, very convenient for them. That's the point of having someone go in with me in person. Is because every single officer in America is taught that all he has to do is turn off his body camera and call the person mentally ill, and they win. They automatically win because they have cast doubt on you, and they have the position of power, and now they have the ability to abuse their position of power in order to have you harmed, in order to hide their own wrongdoing and the wrongdoing of their fellow officers. The officers here who are covering up for the wrongdoing of Cody Selhorst and Jordan Anderson and Joel J, by the way. Those officers don't even know these people. So why are they protecting these people by breaking the law in the way they are? Because they work for the same sheriff, and that sheriff also broke the law feloniously. Pardon me. They say, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and I go in and the rules change. And then it's not just that the rules change when I go in, it also depends on which officer I'm talking to. Scott DaCosta told me a completely different story when I went in with Laura Nelson. Scott DaCosta told me a completely different story at the very beginning of that conversation, which is recorded, than Deputy Hayward said at the very end of it. At the very end of it, he's like, you just get all that stuff to me and we'll make sure it goes to the department it needs to go to. Well, that's nice. Now I need help going through it still. I need help in person to make them do their jobs. There were things that Hayward said during that conversation that let me know that he wasn't going to. You guys can go back and take a look at that. You can listen to the conversations between me and their dispatch where I'm saying that I'm trying to get a case against Scott Costa and Deputy Hahn, and they send Deputy Hahn to the house, and when I call them back, or they have Deputy Hahn call me, and when I call back, they tell me, well, you didn't say anything about Deputy Hahn. I did. It's recorded. I even went back and double and triple checked to make sure that I wasn't schizophrenic and imagining these things. And many of the conversations that I've had with people, I ask them about these situations. I say, hey, did that actually happen or am I schizophrenic? No, that actually happened. Why? Well, because they're trying to say that I'm schizophrenic and that this shit never happened. The thing is, I don't feel that Jen Beebe is going to be able to help me out. It's not that she's not able, it's that she is not willing. It's that all of the laws are set up to protect these people who are getting free taxpayer dollars for not doing anything useful. See, the thing is, Jen Beebe is a witness, number one, to the fact that I have been making an effort all along. It's not my fault that Jen Beebe ignored me for the last 5 months. That was not my decision. I needed a caseworker, and she's supposed to be a caseworker. But since the day she became my caseworker, she has not been my caseworker. She's got these things in her own head, and that's the way it is, and that's what we need to work on. All right, well, Jen, I'm working on those things with you, but I need help, and I am trying to get help. You being too afraid to even admit that I was trying to get help. Well, at least on here, on my YouTube channel, I've got it recorded. Yes, obviously, I was trying to get help. Everywhere that I went, I was trying to get help. The help that I needed. Being railroaded in these courts is bad enough. Having them take away all of my money and forcing me to travel to places where it is dangerous for me to go because of slander by the police and the Bollinger family that was completely blown out of proportion by the news. It doesn't seem like she wants to help, does it, Casey? That's something that I have noticed since the beginning. It's that she doesn't want to help. See, she's one of those things. They did this exact same thing in South Dakota and also in Washington State and also in Wyoming. When I went to the hospitals and was explaining to them what was going on, they wanted to help. And then as soon as I brought up the fact that there were police involved, it's nobody's job to help. And many of those places outright went out of their way to help the police who had done me wrong. That's the problem with a small community. If I go to Bill Burr here in town, who's a state patrol officer, and try to talk to him about Sheriff Scott DeCosta, he's not going to do shit. How do I know this? Because that situation that I was talking to Jen Beebe about, when Jen Beebe had me committed over outright lies that she was told and bullshit that she was very closed-minded and closed-eared about, she only heard what she fucking wanted to. And that's the issue. I'm trying to tell you the whole story. And you're just trying to find the parts that you can twist to justify the wrong things that you did. Casey typed, no, I'm in tears right now, literally. I'm in tears a lot. I don't make videos when I'm in tears, but sometimes I start crying in the middle of my videos, and I do apologize for that. But that's what it's like. You see the attempts to talk to the ACLU. Let me explain to you like this. Here's what being tagged with mentally ill is. Let's say you're a black person and you got two officers who come down to your neighborhood and they beat you up every week, or maybe even every day. When you try to turn them in, you're either beaten up, arrested, threatened. You know that you need a white person to go in with you. And that white person needs to record it. Otherwise, those cops aren't going to do their jobs. They're not going to give two fucking shits about you as a human being. You have to have a white person go in with you. That's where I'm at. I need a white person to go in with me. Not literally a white person. I don't care what color you are. You could be fucking purple for all I care. By the way, purple is my favorite color. I tell people my favorite color is red because it's more manly and more socially acceptable. But fuck it, purple is my favorite goddamn color, and if you got a problem with that, you kiss my ass. The thing is that I put this stuff on here for God and the world to see it. If there is a God, I'm sure God knows how the internet works. This is the all-knowing, right? Purple is a pretty color, but I think all colors are pretty. There's some puke green colors that are absolutely ugly in the wrong situation, in the wrong format. But you get them in the right format in the right place, and they're absolutely gorgeous and stunning. The thing is that Jen Beebe, Nicole Peralta, Kara Heller, Jeff Ritter, all of these people, they're collecting money from you. They're doing what? Well, not what it is that people keep saying that they're going to do. And they keep telling me to get a hold of legal aid. And I've been in contact with legal aid multiple times. The very same thing every single step of the way. I have no rights because of the tag of mentally ill, and I have to have someone else speak up for me. It has been like that the entirety of my life. Don't expect it to change just because you told me to go in there, and magically people are going to do their jobs because you told me to go. If I go in there on my own, it doesn't work. But because you said to, magically it's going to, right? After I spent $200 to jump through those hoops, and I no longer have those $200 to spend on the things that I need to spend it on, are you going to reimburse me that $200? No, you're not. All of these people who helped me out financially, every one of them could have spoken up. And I am glad for their financial help. Their financial help didn't come anywhere near close to covering what my disability was. And my disability was Wasn't even $700 a month. And people are like, what about all the money that people gave you, all those thousands of dollars that you got from the GoFundMe's? I'm like, are you confusing me with Ted fucking Bollinger? I literally got $0 from those things because people who claimed that they cared about me and claimed that they loved me did fucked up shit. People like Candace Bondurant. Now, did she do that fucked up shit because I'm a bad person? No, she did that fucked up shit because she was threatened with being thrown out in the fucking cold with her 2 daughters. Because she had police officer by the name of Michael Beard harassing her when she took her kids to school and harassing her again at work. You don't do that to someone in a small town, and he fucking knew it and she knew it. Yes, I am fucking pissed off at Candace, but yes, I understand why she did the fucked up shit that she did. It's not like I'm fucking mentally goddamn retarded. And yeah, I know a lot of y'all hate that word. So do I. That's why I use it so much. I know how fucking offensive it is. I know how offensive it is to fucking be treated like a retard. Now, one of the things that Jen wanted to say to me is some bullshit about me being condescending. She was the one being condescending in most of our conversations. She wants to tell me how it is. I'm like, hey, hold on a second. I'm in a situation. You're not. You don't get to tell me how it is. You're telling me what you were told. That's fine and dandy. That needs to be brought up in court. I'm telling you what happened in person. Every single one of these situations where I had to go in and talk to police, every fucking one of them, I should have had someone there and present. Someone who cared about my rights as a human being. And somebody who would fucking record it, for Christ's sakes. I mean, at the very beginning, I didn't even know how to do most of this stuff. I knew how to make recordings on Facebook. That was a recent development, but I was glad to be able to do it. But then the police in Natalie's case took that computer and never returned it. And then there's all of these web sleuth groups that they kept on repeating the same bullshit over and over again. Like if they say it enough, it makes it true. That is bullshit. I have posted up plenty of evidence that shows that these people are completely wrong. But it's like they literally will only post up stuff from other people, from my predators. Meanwhile, many of those who were going to help me and made empty promises to help me right from the get-go, many people who did many things to help me out, but the fact they never came forward about it allowed these officers to put whatever slander they wanted. But then again, there are the people who tried to come forward. There are at least 5 people on this very YouTube who tried to come forward, and our conversations show that, including Mandy Hughes, the woman I'm supposed to have court with her daughter, and her daughter, Alyssa Rainwater, who I have court with on the 18th. Now, we've got a conversation, several of them, matter of fact, oh, fuck, recorded between myself and the county prosecutor in regards to the officers in this town, as well as Joel J. He's supposed to be my prosecutor now. He's supposed to prosecute me. That is a conflict of interest. Also, my public pretender in this case, and I am going to say pretender at this point. He can prove me wrong. The very same public pretender that I have now was my public pretender in that case about me cruising up and down Chapel, Nebraska, honking my horn and screeching my tires. That was literally the only way that I could think of after everything going against the people who had been committing these crimes. You know, just a few months later, all of my predators got away with what they did because their slander was allowed in the courtroom and no actual evidence was. Because they were allowed in the courtroom and I wasn't. Because they were allowed to go to court and I wasn't. Because they were allowed to show evidence and I wasn't. Because officers jumped across multiple jurisdictions to break laws for these people and they wouldn't investigate for me.